They told him it couldn't be done. They said Africa always falls to Europe. They drew borders on paper and claimed his land before a single bullet was fired. They were wrong. Meet Emperor Menelik II of Ethiopia, the African strategist who didn't just defeat a colonial empire, but exposed its arrogance to the world. In 1896, at the height of the scramble for Africa, European armies were tearing through the continent with ruthless efficiency. Kingdoms fell in weeks, some in days. Italy arrived in Ethiopia expecting the same outcome. Another easy victory over people they dismissed as primitive, armed with little more than spears and courage. They came with artillery, with machine guns, with the certainty of empire. What they didn't know was that Menelik had been preparing for this moment for over a decade. He studied Europe's methods. He learned their diplomacy. He turned their confidence into a weapon. Through the infamous Treaty of Wuchale, Italy believed Ethiopia had accepted protectorate status. But Menelik understood the deception hidden in the treaty's language, and instead of reacting immediately, he waited. While Italy bragged and grew careless, Menelik quietly did the unthinkable. He built a modern African army, over 100,000 warriors, supplied with rifles purchased from Europe itself, logistics organized, terrain mastered, alliances unified across ethnic and regional lines. And at his side stood Empress Taitu Betul, not merely a consort, but a commanding strategist who helped select the battlefield and urged resistance when surrender was proposed. When Italian General Baratieri finally marched his forces into the rugged hills of Adwa, he expected a scattered enemy. Instead, his army walked straight into a nightmare. Confused night movements, broken supply lines, units separated in hostile terrain. Ethiopian forces closed in from every direction, disciplined, coordinated, relentless. By sunrise, the myth of European military invincibility was collapsing in real time. By sunset, it was over. Italian generals lay dead. Thousands were captured. The survivors fled in panic, leaving weapons, flags, and pride behind. At Adwa, Africa did not just resist, it won. Menelik showed mercy to captured Italian soldiers, treating them as prisoners of war. But the Ascari, African troops who fought for Italy, were punished for betraying their own continent. The message was clear. The shockwaves were global. Black communities in the Americas celebrated. Colonized peoples everywhere saw proof that empire was not destiny. Pan-Africanism was ignited, decades before it had a name. Ethiopia stood tall, the only African nation to defeat a European colonial power in open battle and remain independent. Adwa wasn't an accident. It was strategy. It was patience. It was intelligence defeating industry. And more than a century later, historians are still studying how one African emperor outplayed Europe at its own game.